Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to give you a 50-step guide on how to stop overthinking. So as I was coming up with this idea for a video, I was really trying to figure out, is it a 50-step guide on how to not overthink, 50-step guide on how to stop overthinking? None of these things quite sounded right. All of them sounded a little bit wrong, right? But that is step one of this, on how to not overthink. You see all the wrong options, you just pick one because one of them will turn out right anyway, because it doesn't really matter. And that is the step one, it doesn't really matter. And that is the one that's going to be the most important going forwards. So step two, now that nothing really matters, what can you do with this new freedom to go around and not worry so much about the world around you? Well, first, you're going to try and figure out your internal self, your inner personality, your inner soul. Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it? Why are you here? Now that might sound like you're overthinking, but don't think too much about it. Don't get super into the nitty-gritty, because this is something that is nebulous. This is your own inner neurons all clicking and clinking and making connections with one another. It's not something that is a concrete science that you can figure out, I am this personality type, I am this, I do this, I like this because X, right? Don't get super bogged down on the details, but do get an idea on who you are, because you're going to need that going forward for step three. Step three is to just continue as you go along. Don't worry so much about it as step one, and figure out who you are as step two. Now three is to put some of these things into practice. Just go forwards through life, making it up as you go along. Try stuff. See if it works, see if it doesn't, and if it doesn't work, that's fine. You can try again. And that's step four. Don't let failure get you down, because failure is just another form of success that didn't work, okay? Failure is when you've learned a lesson from a past experience and you've learned not to do that again. You've put your hand on the hot stove. Now that's a failure. Your hand hurt as a result. That pain is something that your brain will remember, and going forward, you're not going to put your hand on the hot stove again. This applies to every experience in life, every negative experience in life. You ever go to meet like that one weird friend that you don't normally hang out with at his house, but you've never really done that before, and you get there and you kind of have this weird feeling and you're kind of like not really enjoying yourself, and you're just sort of like this, wanting to get home and trying to figure out how you're going to word that. Well, now you know that you're not going to go to that friend's house again. You know that you're not going to put yourself in that position going forwards. And that leads into step five. Don't put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And if you do, learn from the previous mistake and don't put yourself in those situations again. Because it's these bad situations that cause so much of the overthinking, because a lot of it is anxiety. It's, am I putting people off? Am I doing something wrong? Why aren't things working out for me? These are all questions that you can keep asking yourself and answering and asking yourself and answering and asking yourself and answering again and again and again and again and again. And you just keep going through the same motions. Like when I got divorced, right, I figured every single thing out in my head multiple times. I answered every single question. I figured out every probability on why, things played out the way that they did. I figured out all of these things. And did I gain anything particularly insightful from it? Not really. I learned from my experience, and I'm not going to put myself in that same experience going forwards. So I did that, but I overthought everything, and I put too much emphasis on the nitty-gritty details. So that's step six. Fuck the details. No one cares about the itty-bitty details of things. People see the big picture. They're not getting up like that with a little microscope, trying to figure out, is this thing right or is this thing wrong? Oh, if you zoom in on any photographer that you might be like looking at, that think, oh bloody hell, they're such a good photographer, why are my pictures so shit? You look at their photos, right, and you hone in, you start to see all the same flaws in their works that you might see in yours. They've learnt from their past experiences, and they're making new sort of mistakes, and then they're going to learn from those mistakes and fix them in the future. So that's actually going to be step seven. Don't compare yourself to others, because if you do that, that powers the overthinking part of your brain in order to make it just easier to continue to overthink, because then you can just sort of go, oh, but when I went to meet Billy, he said something that could be that could be construed as like kind of a negative comment towards me. He said like, oh yeah, you sure love your Doritos. Is he calling me fat? Why does he think I love Doritos so much? Does my breath smell of like tangy cheese? And then you can get really in your own head. And that's going to be step 8. Don't get in your own head. Your own head can be your own worst enemy if you allow it to. And if you allow yourself to put your own self down, so there is a duality here within you. There is the you that does the action, and there is a you that does the thought. So it's essentially like a yin and a yang of yourself. There's the you that puts action forwards, and there's the you that considers those actions. And those two things need to slam together, and that is the creation of thought and experience going forward in your life, and memory. Because your two sides of the brain are connected, and these aren't the actual two sides of the brain in science. This isn't real science, this is bollocks. So step 8 is if you are wrong, whatever. Okay? Because if you are wrong, that is just another way of finding the right answer. Because now you know it's not this, okay, brilliant, you go forward. If you're playing Where's Wally, or Where's Waldo if you're in America, right? And you first thing you sort of do is you look for the few that kind of have like red stripes, and you kind of go, oh, that one looks like Wally or Waldo. Oh no, that's not him. And then you go over here, it's like, oh, that one kind of looks like, oh no, that's not him. Oh, that's not him either. So now straight away, 3 things that you've gotten wrong, but now that's 3 more chances that you're not going to make that same mistake again, because now you're kind of cottoning on to what Wally actually looks like, and the tricks of the game is that the book is kind of playing on you to make you focus your eyes on certain things that are Wally or Waldo-esque, right? So you learn from being wrong much more than you learn from being right. If you learn how to be right, if you learn from being right, you're only learning one thing. If you're learning from being wrong, you're learning the other 99 things, okay? If it was percentage-wise, you're learning 1% from being right, you're learning 99% from being wrong. Step 9 is just make it up as you go along. Just make it up. Don't worry so much about the future and everything like that. Live in the present and use your past as a learning experience, as your education, and use your future as an aspiration to get towards. But outside of those two things, don't get into the nitty-gritty of it. Don't worry so much. Don't worry about the specifics of your past. Don't get hung up on particular interactions that you feel anxious about, that cause you anxiety when you're like lying in bed at 3 in the morning and they're keeping you up at night. The other person has completely forgotten about it. They don't care, right? There's tons of times where I notice something that would stick with other people in the same way that it sticks with me. So I see someone else do something that's mildly embarrassing, right? And in my head, I kind of think, they're probably going to sit up late at night worrying about that. But if I point that out to them, that's not going to make them feel better. That's going to make them feel worse. So I won't say anything. So you see it in other people, right? And when you see it in other people, it really helps to get it within yourself. So this is step 11. Learn from observing, not from studying. Observing the world is so much more useful because from an evolutionary point of view, we are a species that is designed to take in our surroundings and learn from them. Someone who grew up in the countryside is going to have a different fundamental learning process than someone who grew up in the city, because they have such different surroundings and they learn in such different ways. Someone who grew up on a farm in Kentucky is going to grow up very different to someone who grew up like in Harlem, right? I don't know why I'm using America as for this example, but that's step 11, is go along with the flow of things, because and have confidence in yourself to take yourself down the right direction. Because even if you take yourself down the wrong direction, going back to whatever step it was before, you are still making something of progress within your life. You're still making progress going forwards. And if you make your own flow and you go along with it and you see where that takes you, you are going to find yourself in new situations and new circumstances that will become new learning experiences going forwards. And that kind of takes me into step 13, I think it is. Don't worry about the numbers. Step 14 is, I don't know how your head works, right? But there are 2 forms of thought. There are the people that think in sentences, and there are the people that just sort of think without like saying words in their head. So for me, it's hard to understand that because I am very much I'm thinking sort of 1 sentence ahead. So whatever I'm saying now is something I've kind of just thought of. And then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to kind of rattle on this joke and make it a bit of a joke that I'm sort of saying the same thing and I'm thinking what I'm saying. Other people don't do that, and they think in a more nebulous, almost cloud of non-metaphor, where they don't see or feel it, but they think the words and then they just say them, but they don't think the exact words. They just know what the sentence is going to be. The way I see it is my subconscious thinks the thought, and then my conscious reads from the subconscious, locks it in. Is that your final answer? Do you want to say that? Yes. Okay, brilliant. So I see the conscious as being like a stamp approval like thing for the subconscious. So the subconscious puts forward an idea, the conscious approves it, and it goes out to the world. That's kind of how I see it. I also, when I have gotten into my own head in the past, like really gotten overthinking about stuff, I've started to see it almost like a courtroom of different voices, which are all making different points. Because if you're unsure on how to go forwards, and every path forward seems like it has its own pros and cons, and you've got a big dilemma ahead of you, then using the courtroom, for me at least, is a way of sort of dealing with it. But at the same time, it is overthinking stuff, because you're getting so in your own head about different things that you have literally created a scene. And I bet I'm not alone in creating these vivid representations of our inner thought process in order to better understand it. You know, like I only really fall into the courtroom thing when I've got so much to think about with one really specific dilemma. Do I take this job? Do I not take this job and take this other job? Do I do this? Do I go on this holiday? Stuff like that, you know, where you've got big decision and, you know, it's got repercussions to it. Do you do it? Do you not do it? Do you do it in a different way? Or do you call someone else up to help you do it, or whatever, you know? And all of these get represented by different members of the court, all kind of talking and making their case. And then the judge is kind of there as well as part of it. And sometimes he even starts bloody getting into it. And they all have slightly different voices as well, which are all reflective of different parts of the personality. So I think step 15 is embrace your own thought process, but don't let it dictate you, because the way that you think is unique to you. You might not have the courtroom thing like I do. You might have a different mode of thinking. You might think in some other way that I can't really perceive. And embrace that, because it's a part of you. And if you embrace it, then you will allow yourself to feel more confident, because you are comfortable with the way that you think and feel. And if you can go forwards being comfortable with that, then you are going to be more likely to make the right decisions, because you are confident in those decisions. So yeah, embrace it, but don't let it be your overlord, okay? So sometimes you can sort of feel dictated by your own brain, particularly if like you're getting stuck in a routine and it's like, I do this and I got to do this and I got to do this and I got to do that, right? And it feels like you're just like living life paint by numbers. It can be hard to sort of get through that, and it can feel difficult to actually understand what you're meant to do. Basically just think, but don't overthink. And if you come to a blank, then it's okay for now. And that's going to be step 16, is don't worry so much, because there's always a way around, okay? Life as a way of coming up with new answers to things that can take the stress off, that can alleviate pressure. Life has a funny way of working out. And if you can just understand that and not worry so much about what can go wrong, then less things will go wrong as a result, because you will have that confidence to just move forward with life and make these decisions without getting so in your head about them, which will mean that things just end up working out better for you. So trust the process of nature and life and the code that causes physics and everything around us, that causes the planes to fly and the birds to sing and everything that is out there. Be one with it. And that's probably step 17, is just to be one with the rest of your world, and not to see yourself as something that's outside of the world, like you're looking down at the rest of the world, perceiving it. Because I've kind of, when I was sort of 17, 18, 19, particularly when I was a teenager, I kind of thought of myself, it's not that I didn't know that I was human like everyone else, but I kind of felt like I was unique because I can only see from my perspective. No one else can see from my perspective, so in that way it is unique. But at the same time, I am one with the rest of nature, and I don't mean that in a hippy-dippy way. I mean that as in, I am part of this same species that is all around us, this human race. I am part of that race, running alongside everybody else. I'm not the referee, I'm not in the audience. I'm part of the race, and so are you. So if you can embrace that and just be cool with it and not worry so much about it, then it will be a lot easier to not get in your own head so much about stuff. Which kind of leads me on to step 18, which is keep yourself busy. Ever since I started working on this film, Johnny Mosel's Lessons in Confidence, I've had less time on my hands to proliferate around things and to pontificate is the word I meant, not proliferate. Yeah, I don't have as much time to just sit and think about the nature of the human race and the world and my place within it. So I don't worry so much about these things anymore because these aren't questions that need answers necessarily. It's great that philosophers are trying to find these answers, but whatever answers they find are going to be subjective at the end of the day because it's not a physics-driven thing. It's not like there is a right answer and a wrong answer to the nature of utilitarianism. There can only be what is best for us, and I mean that in an overall holistic way rather than a hedonist or stoic kind of way where you're trying to chase a singular pleasure via different avenues. I mean in terms of we can only find what makes us happy and try and get as much of that as we can and try and maximize that pleasure through various ways, whether that be in a hedonistic way where we just try and like chase immediate short-term pleasure, or whether it's going to be more stoic kind of stuff where we try and carry on going into the future. You all right? How you doing? Just doing 50 steps on how to not overthink. On how to not overthink stuff. Yeah, if you want. I'm not on TikTok, I'm on like YouTube and that.
What's your YouTube?
It's Johnny Moser. So if you search Johnny Moser up, it'll probably come up. So, hey up, these are some people that have come over. So in terms of going along with the flow and overthinking stuff, do you ever find yourself overthinking in life?
Yeah, I find myself overthinking sometimes.
Same.
Yeah.
Sometimes with like exams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like you get worried in your own kind of head about
Suicidal.
stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, some people think about like suicide too much, which could be bad.
Yeah, my friend over there, Alessandro, he can really go into depth with that type of stuff.
Is it recording?
Yeah, it's
Why is
recording.
it recording me?
Oh, because you got in the shot.
No. Alessandro, stop that.
See, he's overthinking stuff. Oh, he's stressing. He's just gonna stare into it.
Yeah, he's going to stare into the camera.
Yeah. Oh no. Sorry.
Hey up, we're back.
Hello, guys. Hello.
Hey up, everybody. So yeah, we're on step 19 of overthinking. If you wanted to if someone was overthinking and you were like, hey, stop overthinking, particularly maybe to your friend or whatever, how would you tell them to not overthink anymore?
Oh, don't overthink.
Yeah.
I tell them to like, maybe
How many
try.
points do you have?
About 1,000.
Ooh.
Some things are just out of your control.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't think about it when you can't do anything about it.
Mm.
Yeah.
If something's happened, don't worry about it. If something's gonna happen, think about now. Don't think about then. When it happens, it happens.
So in that sort of lead up to say you've got that thing that you need to do, say it's an exam, that's something that you've got to action, you've got to study for it to make sure because you want to pass the exam, right? Because if you don't, that causes negative implications going on in life. So it is only natural to be anxious about it and to worry about it, but what can you do? All you can do is action things. All you can do is study and not worry so much about it and have faith in yourself that you are going to pass this exam because you're fucking sick and you will pass those exams, because you've got that confidence in yourself. That's all you can really do. And if you have that confidence in yourselves, you will just continue through life and do pretty well by yourselves.
Yeah, I agree, to be fair.
So in terms
Can I
of...
say something, a little quote?
Sorry?
Can I say a little quote?
Yeah, go for it.
So actually, my friend here's gonna say it.
What? I don't know what to say.
Or if you go with
I was trying to get me demonetized.
if you don't win, they'll shoot.
Have you got any words that you want to say to the camera in terms of overthinking and being
Fuck
confident?
yes, live life.
Live life. I think that's a really good way of putting it.
As he said, live life, bro. Live life.
It's like you are having a bit of a unique experience because you've gone out to do this in particular.
What's your YouTube called?
It's called Johnny Moser.
Johnny Moser.
Johnny Moser.
Johnny Moser.
Johnny. I don't know if you're still searching. I'm just going to give him step 30 in the meanwhile.
Yeah.
So it's Johnny Jonny space Moser. So Mozza. And step 30 is just kind of go with the flow, see where it takes you. I've not done it in this type of interview with the lav mics to people in this sort of TikTok way before. Oh God, that's a shit post. That's for part of the film. Don't listen to those songs, they're god awful. You found me.
How many followers?
It's 800 at the moment.
Followers,
Who's got followers? What are you on about?
subscribers, bro.
It's on, I need to start TikTok at some point, but I can't be doing with it all.
Start TikTok now and you'll get more followers than YouTube.
No, definitely. No, I agree with that.
Alright, bye.
Man, you have a good day, yeah? Take care. So that step 30 is just go with the flow. Everything will be all right. Things will be fine. And, you know, like this just now, people come over, they've joined in the video. I could have gotten in my head about it and I could have stopped the video because it's now not perfect, or I could have embraced what's going to happen, embraced the moment and let them all come in, have their piece, say what they're going to say, and they all said what they were going to say, and I think we had a fun little conversation. They had their fun and I had my fun bringing these people on, so thank you so much to them for being a part of this video, for having the confidence to just come over and try a new experience. They weren't sitting in their head going, oh, what if he thinks this about us? What if he gets annoyed at us? What if he does this, blah, blah, blah. They just did it. They just went and did it, and now you can hear them screaming in the corner and one of them's humping one of the others. So you've got the ability to think in the now and to do what feels right, and you can just do it. As he said, I think it was the guy that sat here, he said it, just live and just do it. And I think that's a really beautiful, beautiful message for it. I don't know if I've really got another 20 steps in me, to be completely honest. I think that might be about all. I think I've covered enough in terms of overthinking, because I think step 31 is fuck getting to 50. Fuck thinking about it all. You don't need to cover everything in one single go. You don't need to get it all done right now. You don't need to do everything. You're fine the way that you are. You are lovely, beautiful human beings just the way that you are now. And all we can do is improve ourselves for ourselves and not for external validation or for any kind of material gain. And all we can do really is just be comfortable in our own skin and not worry so much about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great rest of the day. And when you're lying in bed, just lie there and just, if you start thinking, put on some of them like 10-minute meditations, because they're quite useful, they're quite fun. And yeah, that's going to be everything from me. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great rest of the day. Take care.